Okay, so do you remember walking into certain homes when you were younger, and the moment you walked through the door, you could actually feel yourself relax? It was almost like the home had this like magical calming effect, right? Maybe it was your grandmother's house, maybe it was your aunt's house, or maybe it was a neighbor's house down the street. There was just something about it. It might not have been fancy to look at, and it probably wasn't even that big, but it felt calm and comfortable and just easy to be in. Yeah, let's talk about that. Hey there, my name is Tracy Lynn, and I teach midlife women and men how to right size their homes so they fit the life they're living today. And for me, that house was our older neighbor's home. And every time I went over for a visit, all I wanted to do was sit down and relax. There was just something about it. Her kitchen was quaint and always smelled like something delicious. Her family room was really cozy. She even had these nice doilies on the arms of her couches and chairs. And the bathroom was tiny, but it was sweet. And I loved that there was a fuzzy toilet cover on the seat. Do you remember those? Hopefully that wasn't just me. So lately I was wondering, what was it about those homes that felt so different? So I'm sure you've guessed by now that homes from the past have always fascinated me because even though the time was different, the women living them, they were still basically just like us, right? Well, except for the fact that they had fewer conveniences, less space, fewer distractions, and just less stuff overall. And even with all that lessness, yeah, I think I just made that word up. They had homes that felt calm, pretty organized, and just easy to live in. Now, before I go down the path of loving the past, it's important to say this out loud. Keeping a home has always been hard work. And other than hiring a home management team, oh, how I wish, especially a cook, there will never be a magic fix. Even back then, our grandmothers were not secretly following some organizing method we know nothing about today. But I do think it comes down to one key thing. Those homes had less to manage. They had less space, fewer cabinets, and smaller closets, right? Which naturally created limits on how much stuff they could keep. Today, our closets are bigger, our kitchens are huge, and walk-in pantries have become the norm. And many times, all that extra space feels like permission to have more stuff. But just because we have the space does not mean we need to fill it. And before you tell me, I can't get rid of all that stuff because I might need it someday, let me tell you a little story. So 2 years ago, my husband and I moved out of our family home of 26 years into our empty nester home where we're living today. And our home here is much smaller than the one we had before. The attic is a third of the size. The basement's like a half of the size. We went from a 2-car garage down to a 1-car garage. There's no barn, no storage shed, no extra storage space to hold all the what if and just in case things. So over the last 18 months, my husband and I worked our tails off to reduce our stuff down to the amount that would now fit comfortably into our home. Yes, it was really hard work, but we did make it out on the other side relatively unscathed. And here we are today with cabinets that are no longer crammed full, closets that are no longer stuffed to the gills. And I finally let go of the bikini I had been holding on to for 20 years. I still have no idea why on earth I was keeping it. Like, why? This body has not been in a bikini for decades. And for the sanity of the world, it will never be in one again. You're welcome. So why am I telling you this story? Because of what happened in the weeks following that big clean out. My life did not get any harder after I let go of all those extra things. All the gadgets, the helpful tools I bought, and duplicates for just about every single thing that we owned, just in case we needed it. I expected to miss those things. Instead, I barely even noticed they were gone. Okay, let's back up and say that again because it really does bear repeating. Life did not get any harder when I let go of all that extra stuff. Actually, surprisingly, it got easier. And I realized those homes from the past did not feel easier because the women living in them had an organizer in every single cabinet. They felt easier because there was simply less to manage, less stuff competing for their attention, and fewer things demanding their time. And in my own home, without all that extra stuff, well, cooking was fun again because I have room to move now, just enough tools to help me do the job. And I was not, and I am not constantly wrestling with drawers tangled with spatulas and tongs. Getting dressed is now something I actually look forward to because instead of my closets filled with clothes I hardly ever wear, my closets are now filled with all of my favorite things. And my bedtime routine, oh my gosh, that only takes a few minutes now because I'm not trying to decide which face cream to use from 20 open bottles. And here's what I learned. Having a change in perspective can really alter the path that you're on. Because for years, I was decluttering to fit my space. And now I'm right sizing to fit my life. And that is a completely different approach. Instead of asking, how much can I fit in this cabinet? I now ask myself, how much do I actually need for the life I'm living today? Okay, here's the thing. Just because we have space in our homes today does not mean we have to fill it. It's okay to have an empty shelf or a drawer with room to spare. And it's okay to have a pantry that is not packed to the ceiling. Empty space isn't wasted space. It's what helps bring calm to a room, an entire home, and yes, even your life. And that shift in thinking is an absolute game changer. So remember this. Don't look at the space that you have when deciding what to keep. Look at the life you're living and choose the things that support that amazing life. And take a cue from the homes from the past. They felt easier to manage because they held less. Simple as that. And sometimes the frustration you feel in your home today is simply because there is more stored inside than you actually need. Now, if you need an example, I got you. Let's talk about sticky notes. Didn't see that one coming, did you? I have a hard time sometimes coming up with examples, and I'm like, oh, this one's perfect. So let me explain. Sip of coffee first. All right. So in my office where I'm working right now, I have one of those cubes from IKEA, and I have these big canvas storage cubes in each of them. And there's 8 of these storage cubes. And I keep office supplies in these. I keep financial papers in these. I keep files, all the normal office things. And because these cubes are so big, they can hold a lot. So last week, I have 2 of these that are office supplies, and I decided to sit down and see exactly what I had in there. So I started pulling things out and making piles so I could get a visual inventory of what was inside. And what I thought was going to be a normal amount of sticky notes, which you may or may not know, I absolutely love sticky notes, turned out to be a ridiculous supply. Seriously, you have to check out the sticky notes. So they were in this container. I took them out because it was just too hard to show you. And they're now in this. And literally, this thing is so heavy. Look at all the sticky notes I have, you guys. Seriously, that is ridiculous. I have different sizes. I have different colors. Honestly, it's a little embarrassing at how many that I have. And because having so many of those sticky notes, oh my gosh, even if I used one every day, every hour of every day, I would not get rid of them in 6 months. It would probably take me 6 years to use up all those sticky notes. But because this cube was big, it was messy, it was pretty chaotic, I just kept buying more and tossing them in there because I couldn't easily see what I had. So I always thought, better get more just in case. That was always my fallback line, right? So that meant my office supply situation had become a hot mess. Every time I needed one thing, I had to dig through 360 others just to find it. And instead of making my life easier, all those extra sticky notes were creating more work. And that is the exact opposite of what our homes are supposed to do. So I took a breath, chose the sticky notes that were my favorites, and I'm going to hand the rest off to my kids. And before you call me out on this, yes, I did ask them, and yes, they do want them. So we're all good on that front. Now, once the extras are gone, I will have one more right-sized space that does its job in a much easier way. And no, I'm not keeping, this is the before. I'm not keeping all these sticky notes. Oh, and if you want sticky notes, let me know. Just kidding. All right. Now, before I scoot, I do want to leave you with one final thought. Our grandmother's homes were not calmer because they were better at keeping house. I want to be clear on that. They were, however, calmer because there was less stuff getting in their way, right? And while our lives do look differently today, the goal is still the same. We all want a home that feels peaceful, a home that supports us instead of constantly demanding something from us, a home that is easy to take care of, comfortable to be in, doilies on the couch and all. And the good news is, we don't have to go backwards to create that feeling. We can borrow what worked in the past, adopt it to our own lifestyle, and leave the rest. And we could stop trying to fill every space simply because it's there. Instead, we can choose to create homes that fit the lives we're living right now. Because this season of life deserves a home that works for you, not one that creates work for you. So tell me in the comments, what's one thing you remember about a home that always made you feel calm? Was it the smell of something baking? Maybe it was the cozy furniture, clear and tidy counters, or maybe it was all those things. I can't wait to see what you share. And yes, I do read all the comments. Oh, and if you're sitting there thinking, okay, Tracy Lynn, I get it, but I'm still struggling to let go of stuff. Sometimes selling it is the best next step, is the next best step. Take that sentence either way. And if that's where you're at, please check out my new workshop, From Overflow to Freedom. I have the link down in the comments below. It'll walk you through the simple ways to sell your things that you no longer need so you can get unstuck and keep moving towards a home that fits the life you're living today. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up because that really does help my channel grow. And please make sure you join me every Friday morning because that's when I'll be talking about practical ways to create a home that's easier to live in. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time. Bye.